Hey guys, this is the Asian Pitbull here. I've always wondered which WWE wrestlers worked as a bouncer before they got their big break in professional wrestling. It's no surprise that bouncing was one of the more popular gigs for these tough guys and gals. Many wrestlers have even shared wild stories of their time working as bouncers. In this video, let's look at 20 WWE wrestlers who worked as bouncers. Number 1. Samoa Joe. Perhaps one of the most famous examples in this list, Joe worked as a bouncer way before he was even of legal age. In the book When We Were Bouncers, Joe said, quote, "I started bouncing way before I should have. My first bouncing job I got when I was maybe 18, which is totally illegal in California. A football coach got me the gig and said, keep your mouth shut and they'll pay you cash under the table. I don't want to say their name and get them in trouble because I know the manager who hired me had no idea I was so young." Number 2. Road Warrior Animal. At 6'2" and over 300 pounds, Animal was an imposing figure and thus a very effective bouncer. He worked as a bouncer at Grandma B's in the Twin Cities, where he caught the eye of Eddie Sharkey, a well-known wrestling trainer who got him his start as a pro wrestler. Number 3. Ravishing Rick Rude. Even with his flamboyant persona, Rude was a legit tough guy outside the ring, with many claiming he was someone you did not want to mess with. Before he was a wrestler, Rude was a bouncer at Grandma B's bar in Minneapolis, the same bar where Road Warrior Animal worked. Heck, he once even knocked out and broke a bouncer's jaw. Number 4. Maven. Maven was a highly promising rookie from Tough Enough and famously eliminated Undertaker from the 2002 Royal Rumble. However, things never turned out well for Maven in the WWE, and due to drug issues, he ultimately quit wrestling and has since been mopping up drunks in the clubs of NYC. Number 5. Braun Strowman. Even before becoming a strongman, Braun worked at a nightclub where he was able to use his large size as a bouncer, stopping those who would take things too far. Strowman has said that he didn't use his raw strength too often though, saying that he would often talk people out of doing something silly. Number 6. Ken Shamrock. Known as the world's most dangerous man, Shamrock's reputation as a fighting machine grew as he worked as a bouncer in various nightclubs. But realizing that bouncing in bars here and there led to nowhere, he began searching for other opportunities and upon his father's suggestion, took up professional wrestling. Number 7. Bam Bam Bigelow. Known for his immense size, Bam Bam Bigelow talked about spending a year in jail for aggravated assault, and there was no jobs for him, so he became a bouncer. Bam Bam said he needed to change his life for good and get out of the scene, so he went to Larry Sharp's Monster Factory to begin his wrestling career. Number 8. Dave Batista. Never did Big Dave imagine he would become a mega celebrity while he was bouncing in the streets of Washington, D.C. In an interview by WWE.com, Batista said, "I still live 30 minutes outside of D.C. in Virginia. I mean, I was a bouncer at a club literally just 2 blocks away from the NCI Center." Though he found steady work as a bouncer at local clubs, he was soon arrested one night after his short temper and heavy fists left 2 rowdy patrons badly hurt, with one lying in the street. His short stint in jail motivated him to find a new way in life, and I must say, you did good, Dave. Number 9. Shayna Baszler. The next one is a lady on our list. Who knew Baszler could be more badass than she already is? The Queen of Spades said in the book When We Were Bouncers, I occasionally help out in the bouncing crew at a club in South Dakota called The Vault. They call me in for special events to help with females and keep legal stuff off their back. Number 10. PAIGE. The next entry is certainly surprising. Who knew PAIGE was a bouncer as well? On Stone Cold's podcast in 2015, PAIGE recalls her days as a bouncer, saying, "Yes, I was bouncing. One day these two chicks were fighting and no one was there, so I ran up to this woman and did a headlock takeover. Yeah, I was 15 years old holding these two chicks down." Number 11. Kevin Nash. Before he was known as Big Daddy Cool, Kevin Nash took up the job of a nightclub bouncer in Atlanta. At the nightclub, he became friends with several pro wrestlers, including Barry Windham and Scott Steiner, and soon after started training at WCW Power Plant. Speaking of big, the next entry on our list is The Big Show. This one is no surprise, folks. Show recounted in Chris Jericho's podcast he was working as a bouncer while training at Larry Sharp's Monster Factory. Fate will have it soon that Big Show got signed by WCW, and the rest, they say, is history. Number 13. John Cena. I wonder how good of a bouncer Cena was if guests can't see him. Anyway, jokes aside, Mr. Hustle Loyalty Respect certainly lived up to his moniker of hustling in the streets of Southern California. Recalling his bouncing days in the Jimmy Kimmel show, Cena said, "You won't believe it, man," when Kimmel said that he can't imagine people messing with John. John said, "I was in my early 20s, I needed this job, and I was in my fair share of brawls. I had my ass whooped a bunch of times. I was not a good bouncer. But you're a great wrestler, John." Number 14. Edge. Cena's long-term rival Edge was also a bouncer in his pre-WWE days. In the book When We Were Bouncers, Edge revealed that, "I started bouncing at 17 years old at a franchise place called O'Toole's in my hometown of Orangeville. Of course, it was highly illegal for me to be doing that. But even at that age, I was about 6'4" and 220 pounds. So because they were short on bouncers, I got the job." Number 15. Chris Masters. The next one is a name less heard of nowadays. Chris Masters. But judging from his physique, it's no surprise that he was a former bouncer. Now the funniest thing to me is that he used to use his Master Lock, his finishing move, to kick people out of the bar he was bouncing at. Number 16. Scott Hall. "Yo Chico, say hello to the bad guy." Now that was a terrible rendition. Anyway, in this now famous story, Hall was charged with second-degree murder after shooting a man in self-defense while he was working as a bouncer at an Orlando nightclub in 1983. After charges were being dropped, Scott suppressed his guilt and the trauma of killing another man, moved to Tampa, and joined every gym in town to find out where the wrestlers worked out so that he could make contacts in hopes of following his dream of becoming a pro grappler. Number 17. Chris Jericho. At his stature, Jericho would be the least likely to be a bouncer, especially with the giants on this list. However, Jericho has proven time and time again that he is as tough as they come. Before getting involved in backstage fights with the likes of Brock Lesnar and Goldberg, Jericho was a bouncer in Canada. Maybe that was where he toughened himself up. Number 18. Lance Storm. Jericho's good friend Lance Storm was also a former bouncer. He mentioned in his official website, stormwrestling.com, "I've been asked several times to tell a few of my past bouncer stories. I worked several years as a doorman and bars always provided good story material." Number 19. Sheamus. Sheamus, the big red Celtic warrior. Before giving people the bro kick, SHEAMUS spent a considerable amount of time working as a doorman and bouncer at famous Irish bars and clubs. That ability to provide security also led to the chance to look after members of the legendary band U2 in Bono and Larry Mullen. Number 20. Hulk Hogan. It doesn't get bigger than this, brother. Prior to the rise of Hulkamania, Hogan worked as a part-time bouncer aspiring to become a full-time wrestler. One night while working as a bouncer, Hogan met up with the wrestler Jack Briscoe, who immediately saw the potential of this golden-haired 6'5" 300-pounder who rose to become arguably the biggest star in pro wrestling history. So that's my list of 20 WWE superstars who worked as bouncers. Let me know in the comment section any other superstars I missed, and who knows, I may put them in a future video. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe for more wrestling content. This is the Asian Pitbull signing out.